Hello, exciting times today at Daniel Hibbert Lawn Expert. We're doing our first seeding job. So if you remember, over the last few weeks, we've been doing iron treatments, we've been doing scarifying to get us to this point today. So let's just have a look back at last year on how this job started. We turned up after the drought and this job looked like straw, if you remember. So we did a few treatments, and after 2 weeks we got it back to looking something like, and then it became apparent that the lawn then was full of moss and weeds. So we decided that this year we were going to make this lawn really good and see how far we could take a really old lawn, a real tired old lawn, and see if we could get it back to something like it was when I first turned up here 20 years ago, when it was almost like brand new. So let's go and have a look at the tools that we're going to need today, and then we'll take it from there. Okay, so let's just have a chat about what tools we're going to need today. We're going to need the H2GO mower, we're going to need Ye Faithful, we're going to need a rake, we're going to need a spreader, we're going to need seed, we're going to need Field Compost, 100% peat free, field number 4, we're going to need the wetting agent, and we're going to need a couple of rakes, and I'm going to tell you all about why we're going to need all these as we do it. So let's crack on. Alright, so the first job we've got to do today is we're going to cut the lawn, and we're going to go on at number 1 with the hater. We're going to scalp it, because we want to get rid of all that old growth so that we're growing our new seed, and the new grass which is already there, which is going to come back through, is growing from the ground level. So over the year we can try and maintain as close as we can. So let's crack on. Okay, so next machine up is Ye Faithful. It's a bladed scarifier which is going to do 2 things. It's going to remove some more moss, and it's going to leave us with some nice little grooves in the soil for our seed to fall in, so that can germinate even better. So no time to waste, let's get on with it. Okay, so just have an up close look. You can see all the grooves that I've created. So I'm going to try and my very best to keep those as open as I can. Obviously walking on it, raking up, I'm going to close some, but in the main I hope to leave these open, and then the seed will fall in there, and then the top dressing will go over the top and seal that in. And because there's plenty of moisture in there, that seed can then start to take that up. I think it's not too early now, the frosts have gone. And I've looked at the temperatures ahead, and we're in 12, 13 for the next 10 days at least. So by that time, we're going to be more or less in April. So I don't foresee any problems with doing any seeding now, especially on a lawn that has already got grass on it. If it was a new job like the one we've got just down the road from here, where we did the video a few weeks ago, I wouldn't do a new seeding job just yet. But because, like I say, we've got the old lawn coming through as well, that's going to act as a canopy to give a bit of protection as well. So all in all, very good. So let's get raking up, and then we can get seeded, get top dressed, and get the hell out of here. So just starting to rake up using my Magnuson rake, which I got from B&Q. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. The great thing about these rakes is they've got a flat edge. So whenever you make contact with the ground, no matter what angle you're at, your rake is touching the ground, whereas the fan-shaped ones you get, you're not actually 100% touching the ground until you're at that level, and nobody's going to rake like that. So that's why I always go for these. And they're very lightweight as well. Not much to come up here, just because there's not much grass here. So we'll get more as we go ahead. But yeah, it's doing a great job of keeping these grooves open. And what I'm going to try and do is actually work with the groove in terms of raking. And then that way, all I'm doing is just kind of going through the groove rather than going that way and closing it up. I've just realised. So if you're thinking, well, you weren't doing that a second ago, it's just because I've just kind of had a brainwave and thought it. So let's just keep doing that. Obviously I will have to go down at some point, but maybe I'll just go gently that way over the top so we don't close those grooves up too much. So looking forward to doing my first top dressing video today. It's always good for the mind, so we can feel like we're actually doing something. Today is the first day where it's actually felt like spring, where we've got the temps and like the blue sky. Was normally when it's blue sky, it's freezing. You know, last week we had hailstone. I mean, earlier this week actually. We had a bit last week, but this week I'd cut a lawn, and then I'd just finished, and I absolutely threw it down with hailstone. And by the time I'd driven off, the lawn was absolutely just white. So I just timed that just right. Customer probably thought I was mad turning up, but I did the feeding and the moss treatment 4 weeks ago, so it was desperate for a cut. And sometimes you just got to get to that point where you've got to cut it no matter what, because you're going to end up with more work to do and actually doing more damage to the lawn in the long run, because when you cut it, it's going to go yellow. So I'll get this raked up, and then we'll join you back when I'm ready to put the seed on. Okay, let's just have a look in the bin, see what we've got. Loads of moss, bit of soil in there, grass, everything. Better out than in, Shrek said. And I'm entitled to agree with him. So just rake that up. You can see now we've still got the grooves that were created by raking sideways. Obviously at some point you do have to rake downhill to bring them into piles, but it definitely works. I mean, I could have raked, I guess, all the way along, but basically what you're doing is you're dragging everything from this side all the way over there, so I don't see the point in that. If you've got time, feel free, but I think that's not really for me cost effective to do that for the customer. So we're going to take into account time as well when we're doing a job. Okay, so just before we go on with the seed, I said this lawn was 100 square metres, just pacing it out. So I used to be a referee, so I knew 10 yards quite well. So it'd be interesting to see if I've still got the knack. So let's give it a measure, and then we can find out accurately what it is. Okay, normally tape measures have like the big ones. They have a bit of a thing that you can just dig in the ground a little bit, like an anchor. Whereas this hasn't. It's got like a hook. So all right. So we're just gonna start. I've noticed this has got like a ring on there. Normally they have like an L-shaped thing which you can dig in, and it kind of anchors it into the ground. So just got a screwdriver, and we'll just anchor it in that way like that. I just tried something else, but it didn't work. So I just got that out of the van. Let's see if it pulls. And then we'll have a measure, see what it is. So up here we're at 6 metres. We'll call it 6 metres because it does go into the hedge a little bit. The 6.3 up to there, but obviously the lawn is only here, and that's 6 metres bob on. So let's do the long way, and then we'll see where we're at. So 6 there, and we'll go along this way. Test my mic out, see how far we can go away, so you can still hear me hopefully. Go to the end there, and we are at 16 metres. Okay, so the results are in. That is 16 times 6, which is 96, and we're going to minus off 3 square metres for that border there, so that gives us 93 square metres. So I went a million miles out, 7 shy. Now obviously as I've got older from my refereeing days, my stride has become a little bit shorter, just tight hamstrings, bad knees, bad hips, bad back. So that explains my refereeing career being over as far as that goes. So what we can do is going forward, we can document that, 93, so when we go on with fertilisers in the future, we can be absolutely spot on. Okay, so the hard work's been done now. It's time to get on with a bit of easy work. So we're going to be seeding using the Barenbrug Extreme. We're going to go on at 35 grams a square metre, so I've just got under 3.5 kilos in there. Now what I'm going to do is it's a little bit breezy, so I'm going to work with the wind. So I'm going to start that end every time. I'm going to put the seed on, and then when I've done, I'm going to walk back to the start there, and then come back this way rather than just going there to there and then back that way spreading seed. If we don't do that, what happens is the seed's going to blow back towards us. It's not ideal, but when I turn up to do a job, I've just got to get it done sometimes. It's not so windy that I can't do it. Obviously, it was just blowing an absolute gale. I just wouldn't do it, but we're just on the cusp of getting away with it, so that's what I'm going to do. Okay, we just had a bit of a stroke of luck. Just as I started spreading the seed, the wind went in, so I didn't actually need to do what I said I was going to do in the segment before I started seeding. So if you're not that confident with this, you can do a low setting multiple times. With fertiliser that works, but generally with this, with seed and this spreader, anything above, like anything below 29, the seed doesn't really come out. So I went on at 32, just knowing that I'm going to have enough to cover the area. So 32 will be fine. If you're just really not that sure, I say just lower setting, multiple passes, and you'll be absolutely fine. But you're the homeowner, you've got all the time in the world. So that's probably the best way to do it. All right, so we just had a stroke up there. Just as I started spreading the seed, the wind just absolutely died. It was almost like the gods came out and said, he's spreading seed, let's just stop it for 5 minutes. So I didn't need to start back at that end every time and go with the wind. So I did 2 passes on 32. Generally 32 is a good setting for seed, because anything less than that, the seed won't actually come out. But if you're just not that confident and you've got time, you can actually go on a lower setting and just less seed will drop out, but you'll have to do far more passes. But I've been doing it 25 years, so I'm pretty experienced. But if you're not, just do lower setting, and then you make sure you don't want it to seed, because what you don't want to do is set off and actually run out before you finish the area and you've run out of seed. So just a little tip for you there. All right, so we're now getting on with the top dressing, the most important part to cover up our seed. This year we're using Field number 4 compost from the Field Compost company. It's 100% peat free, so you eco warriors can no longer have a go at me. Now it's recycled food waste, sieved down to 4 mil, so there's absolutely no rubbish in it whatsoever. It's really consistent. Seed loves it, gets really warm, especially under fleece, and germinates really quickly. So what I've got with me today is I brought 15 bags, which I think will be plenty. One bag generally does around 9 to 10 square metres, so let's get it on and give it a go and see how many it does, just see if that's about right. Shouldn't have changed too much from last year when we were using it, so I'm really excited this year about using this, and I've managed to source you a 10% off code which you can use. I'll put it on the screen now, so when you order, make sure you take advantage. So time to crack on. Okay, so I just wanted to show you up close the Field Compost. You can see lovely and fine, no rubbish in there. Lawns absolutely love it. So I'm just raking this out. I brought my rake. You could use a brush, to be honest. I think it's that pushable and that dry, you could really use a brush. And the good thing about these rakes is that you can push and pull with them, whereas a soil rake that you get, like you might have in your shed, you can't do that. So you've got this really long bit at the front here, which enables you to push and pull. So it spreads really easy, no resistance whatsoever. So we'll have this blasted off in no time. Really looking forward to seeing the results on this one. We've got some rain due this afternoon, which will wash the wetting agent in, which I'm going to put on after, and I'll explain why I'm putting that on after. But for now, we're just going to do some therapy and just spread this compost. Wind's picked up now. I think it's bringing in a bit of rain, like I said. Just looks like a bit gloomy, so I best get a move on. So I'll get this spread out, and then I'll join you back when we've finished. Alright, just as you finish off, after you've done your main spread, it's just ideal to go over it once again, just with the rake, dragging it, just to get rid of any high spots. So what you want to do is when you put your top dressing on, any top dressing, even if it's sand, like top dressing 70-30, make sure you can see your blades of grass sticking through. If you leave any humps, which is the reason I've just done what I've done, is that the seed won't be able to grow through there, and it will just get wet, and it will just kill what's underneath because it just can't get through. So I've just gone over just to level off any humps that I might have left. So I can just see a little bit there, a little bit of thatch in there which has come up. So we'll just get rid of that. So that is job done. Now it's time to get on with the wetting agent. Okay, so we're just going to get on with our wetting agent. Why are you putting a wetting agent on, I hear you ask? And it's because anything recycled, i.e. green waste or food waste, is broken down by funguses and bacteria. Now they leave behind a waxy coating, a fat, a lipid, which stops water penetrating through. So we need to stop that from happening by putting a wetting agent on, because otherwise it's all right now, but once it dries out and it rains, the rain will just wash off, and it'll probably, because it's on a slope, wash the compost down. So it's important to go on with a wetting agent to stop that happening. So what we're going to do is we're going to go on with the H2GO wetting agent. What we're going to do is we're going to go on at the higher rate today, 400 mils per 100 square metres. So to make that easier, what we're going to do is we're going to divide it by 100, so that gives us 4 mils per square metre. Now I know that this lawn now is 93 square metres, so we times 93 by 4, which gives us 372. So I need to put 372 mils in my measuring jug. So it's going to be difficult to do that because obviously these measuring jugs only come in like hundreds, so I'll just do as close as I can to, there's 350 and 375, so I'll know I'm somewhere around that. So there we go, so that's about right. It doesn't matter if you go over, it's not going to kill the lawn or anything, it's just obviously going to cost you more. So what we'll do is put that in there, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit of water to that jug, just to loosen it up a little bit because it's quite gloopy, and then pour that. I've already got some little bit of water in here. Now, how much water do I need? That's totally up to you. It depends what your sprayer does. I know my sprayer will do 4 litres per 100 square metres, more thereabouts. So what I can do is I can put 4 litres in, but today, just because I want to get a good application in, I'm just going to put, I think I've got about 8 litres in here. I'm just going to do 1 tank with about 8 litres in, whatever's in this jug. And I'm just going to do multiple passes just to make sure I go on with loads of water to get it really saturated. So that's what I'm going to do. But you can just do 1 pass if you want and then water it in with the hose. But I'm going to go on with more water and then let it rain as well later on. So you can see now, we'll put that in. It's all nicely soaping up so we know it's in there. And then we can just pour that in the tank. And we'll be ready to spray. So this is the last job. Getting on to what we've just done with the compost there. I think I used 11 bags. I've got 11 empty ones, so I presume that means I've used 11. So that is just over 8 square metres, but you could make it go further. Actually, I actually found using the back end of the rake with the solid finish was actually better than using the rake. So you could actually use a brush, I think. So maybe next time I get a bigger brush and use a brush as well to show you, see what the best is. So that's done, we're ready to spray, let's go. And no sooner had I finished putting the wetting agent on, it absolutely started throwing it down. So I just about got it done in time. So as you can see, we just had an absolute deluge there, but the lawn dressing has stayed in place, which I'm really pleased about because I was getting quite worried as the rain was bouncing off the road it was. So I'm really pleased that stayed intact. So that wetting agent has been washed in. It's almost like the gods have been with us today and said, well, we'll stop the wind for him spreading his seed and we'll turn the rain on for after he's put the wetting agent on. As I've literally just finished. So what we've done today, we've mowed the lawn, we've scarified, we've put our seed on, and then we've top dressed with the Field Compost number 4 from Field Compost, and then we went on with a wetting agent. I'll leave all the links in the video description for you, and don't forget that discount code if you want to purchase some of that Field Compost number 4. So if you've liked what you've seen today, give us a like and give us a subscribe if you want. But what we'll be doing next time here is I'll be showing you how to level a lawn properly without putting top dressing on or anything like that, so we can still scarify as soon as we've done it. So I'm looking forward to that one now. So if you missed these parts before we're done today, find those here at the top. But until we meet again, take care and see you soon.